Okay, welcome to the video now where Evan and I are going to talk about how we caught him today. We're going to go ahead and start with the man Evan, since he was the winner today. And so Evan, why don't you go ahead and tell us how you caught him, and show us kind of some of the whatever it was you caught him with today.
Alrighty, well, we kind of started today up shallow, and I was throwing the bully wall frog, and it wasn't too great, but you know, they're pretty good frogs, so we didn't miss any fish. And then we moved out a little bit deeper to where I was throwing this drop shot rig right here. What it is since, you know, we had to have a River2Sea product on, so I was like, I need a drop shot, but I couldn't figure out a way to do it until I thought, you know what, I'll just use the flipping hook. And it turns out it worked pretty dang good, because a smaller hook, I think I would have been a lot more scared to catch that 9/8 on. And I caught on this exact worm right here, Power Team Lures tickler, and it's watermelon seed. And you know, it was really fun. It was a pretty cool fight, and so yeah, that's pretty much it.
So Evan, I've got a question for you. So like you said, we had our rules today with the River2Sea thing, and you had to have a River2Sea product on the end of your line. So, you know, obviously you just kind of threw that flipping hook on there. It's kind of a goofy deal. You know, obviously you probably would not have normally put a flipping hook on for a drop shot rig on a spinning rod. But after your experience today, do you think that you may actually at some point use a flipping hook as a drop shot rig, and when would you do that if you did?
You know, absolutely. It kind of opened up my eyes to something totally new. So now I've decided whenever I want to start fishing, a flipping hook on a drop shot rig is going to be whenever I'm fishing like a brush pile, or if I'm very specifically targeting like bigger fish. You know, that's kind of like where it'd be, and I'd want that flipping hook in brush piles, because you know, I've been hooks out tons of times on brush piles, or you get a hook that wraps up, or you get a fish that wraps up around a branch, and so like it's nice to just kind of have that power in your hook to be able to just force them a little bit more.
So basically, heavy cover, big bass, there's a good chance that you just might put that flipping hook on as your drop shot hook.
Absolutely.
Okay folks, I'm going to tell y'all a little bit about how I caught my fish during the River2Sea Showdown with Evan. It's actually a couple days later now. I didn't like the first take that I did of this, because I didn't have the rig tied up that I was catching them on, so I wanted to make sure and show y'all the exact rig. So this is it right here. This is what I was catching the majority of my fish on. This, as you can see, this is a drop shot rig, a little 6-inch straight tail worm on here. And what I was doing, the River2Sea product that I was using was a River2Sea worm weight, tungsten worm weight. Unfortunately, this is not it. I only had 2 of them left for that showdown, and I used them both up. So right now I just have a little lead bullet weight on here, but you get the idea. But this should be that River2Sea tungsten worm weight. I was using an 1/8 ounce, and here's the deal. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this up here. Y'all get a good close look at that. So I've got the weight, and I've got a bead, and I've got a swivel tied on there. The swivel just acts as a stop, basically. And the reason I was doing this, you know, obviously, due to our rules with the River2Sea Showdown, this was just a way that I could get around the rules of having something River2Sea tied on there. But I will say that this is actually something that I genuinely do under certain conditions for drop shotting, is I put a tungsten worm weight on there and a bead and a swivel. The reason for that is it adds a little bit of noise, okay? So as I'm sitting there shaking my drop shot rig, this little weight, that little tungsten weight and that bead start clacking together as I'm shaking it and draw them in. So the times that I use this are when I'm fishing in kind of murkier water situations, when the water's a little bit more stained. You know, let's say that I've got less than 2-foot visibility and I'm drop shotting in less than like 2-foot visibility. That's a little trick that I do, is I put a little tungsten worm weight on there in that bead so that it can clack together like that. And I typically don't like to do it around rocks, you know, if I'm fishing around rocks, because I know that this thing's just going to get hung up and I'm going to break it off all the time. So then I just go with my, you know, usual drop shot weights that I use. But this is a great little deal, and this is a definite possibility of why I got just a couple more bites than Evan did in that River2Sea Showdown. So that was the main deal that I used. I also caught my biggest fish on the River2Sea Bullywah 65. I typically don't really mess with the smaller 55. I pretty much always use the 65. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If y'all found this useful and you enjoyed this video, then make sure and subscribe to my YouTube channel. There'll be a little red box that says subscribe somewhere on the screen here. And if you want to go ahead and click that and check out my other videos and stuff. And anyway, I appreciate y'all watching. And remember, y'all are only one cast away from totally making your day. Thanks.